Hello, testing cations and anions is an important topic in GCSE chemistry. The anions are negatively charged ions: chloride, bromide, iodide. Sulfate and carbonates are the five anions that we need to know about for GCSE chemistry. Chloride, bromide, and iodide can all three be tested by one same test, and in that you add nitric acid and silver nitrate to your solution that you expect to contain chloride, bromide, and iodide. If your sample solution after you add nitric acid and silver nitrate, it changes into white precipitates, means chloride is present. If it goes cream, that's bromide. If it goes yellow, that means the iodide is present. If you don't see any of these three precipitates or any precipitates at all, that means none of the halides is present in your sample, then you go ahead adding silver, adding nitric acid and barium nitrate. Formation of white precipitates means sulfate is present. We test carbonate by adding an acid into the sample solution. Bubbling indicates presence of carbonates. Testing cations can be done by three different methods: flame test, flame emission spectroscopy, or a simple reaction with sodium hydroxide. Flame test is a simple method for testing cations. All you need is a nichrome wire. You clean it in an acid solution, dry it, dip it in your sample solution, and then expose it to a blue flame of a Bunsen burner. The blue flame of the Bunsen burner will change. The color change will depend on what cation was present in your sample. If the blue flame of the Bunsen burner changes to crimson, that indicates presence of lithium. Yellow is for sodium, lilac for potassium, so on and so forth. Among the limitations of the flame test include the fact that you can only test one cation at a time, so you need a pure sample. Sometimes there is a problem that your cation doesn't produce any color with the cations. In that case, the flame test won't be useful anymore. The second method for testing cations is the flame emission spectroscopy. It involves use of a so-called advanced device. Flame emission spectroscopy will allow you to test a mixture of cations at the same time. You can also test the cations that don't produce any color in the flame test. The results that you get from the flame emission spectroscopy are the spectra. Each cation produces its own unique spectrum, which acts as a fingerprint for that cation. An unknown spectrum can be identified by comparing it with the spectra of the known cations. This unknown sample, for example, clearly belongs to strontium because they have the same spectral lines. Flame emission spectroscopy is expensive and requires technical training. The third method for testing cations is the reaction of cation with the sodium hydroxide. You will get precipitates of different colors. If your precipitates are blue, that indicates presence of copper. Green is for chromium. Here we see a problem that aluminium and zinc are producing white precipitate. But if you add aqueous ammonia, the white precipitate of aluminium will dissolve, but the zinc precipitate will not. So that will be an additional confirmation if you have aluminium or zinc. So that was it for testing cations and anions. Thanks for listening.